It's the holiday season, it's that time of year. You're breaking out the rib roast, getting ready for those big festive occasions and feasts. Prepare yourself for the trifecta of standing rib roast sauces. 2 creamy horseradish sauces and a classic au jus. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, whenever I think of a party or celebration or a big feast, I'm thinking rib roast. It feeds a ton of people, it's absolutely delicious, juicy, and the sauces that go with it, absolutely phenomenal. Let's dive into it. We'll work with the classic au jus first. Now, with the au jus, it comes from the drippings of the pan, and anything and everything that you put in that pan is going to add flavor to the au jus. Drop in a handful of parsley and 4 sprigs of rosemary. If you have any fresh thyme, that would also be a great addition. Throw a handful of that in. And the great thing about making a homemade au jus is that you can add to it whatever you like. Whatever you have, if you like it, throw it on in. Drop in 2 carrots as well. Give them a rough chop. It doesn't have to be pretty or finely diced. Just chop it up, throw it on in. And the same thing applies for the celery. Give it a little bit of a rough chop, throw it in. You can also leave the leaves on it. If your celery has leaves, then perfect, add it in. It'll add flavor. And if you don't like celery, don't put it in. Again, this is a homemade au jus. You can make it to taste. Dice half of an onion, throw it on in. And one thing that you want to make sure of whenever you start up this project is to make sure that that beast of a rib roast, that it fits into your roasting pan before you start doing all this work. And last but not least, the final ingredient that we'll add to the roasting pan, garlic. 4 cloves of garlic. You can leave the skins on the garlic, those pesky skins. It's always a pain to have to take those off, but you can leave them on. But it's good to give the garlic a little bit of a smash so it releases all of its oils and flavor. That'll add tons of flavor to the au jus. Alright, so perfect. Moving right along. Now it's time to work on that rib roast. We're going to add a little bit of flavor to it. We're going to spice it up, add a little bit of a rub. I like to keep it simple. I like to add just a little bit of garlic powder, some thyme, some dried thyme, or if you have fresh thyme, that'll work just as well, and then a little bit of black pepper. I like to keep it simple. I know some people like to use mustard rubs, that's perfectly fine, but if you like the taste of it, and you like to lather up that roast beast with it, you probably will love the way it tastes in the au jus. If your roast is a little bit lean and it doesn't have that much fat, then drizzle a little bit of olive oil into the bottom of the cooking tray. Now it's time to place that roast beef into the baking tray. You can add a little bit of salt to taste to it. And one thing that's a good idea to do, which you can do this before you add your rub or after, is add a little bit of olive oil. It'll help give it a nice crust whenever it roasts. Time to throw this bad boy into the oven. Cook it to your taste, whether you like it rare, medium rare, well done. And while this cooks, I'm going to walk you through 2 different horseradish sauces. And then we'll come back to the au jus and finish it up at the end of the video. So we'll start off the horseradish sauces with a creamy horseradish sauce with mustard and dill. Grab a mixing bowl and we'll drop in half of a cup or 125 milliliters of mayo. Store-bought mayonnaise works perfectly fine for this recipe, but if you'd like to learn how to make homemade mayonnaise, click that information link on the top right-hand side of the screen, and I'll show you how to make a homemade mayonnaise. To this, we'll add 1 cup or about 250 milliliters of sour cream for a little bit of richness. You have plenty of time to make this horseradish sauce while the roast is cooking. But it's even better if you make it a few days ahead of time and let it sit and let those flavors of the sauce come out. It just really adds so much flavor to the horseradish sauce. And for this particular standing rib roast sauce, I'm using prepared horseradish, 3 tablespoons. Now for a little bit of added flavor, a little bit of Dijon mustard. Everybody likes a little bit of mustard with their rib roast, so why not throw it into the horseradish sauce, 2 teaspoons. Now it's time to bring a little bit of freshness, some herbs to this sauce. We have a little bit of spiciness from the horseradish and the mustard. We have some creaminess from the sour cream and the mayo. Now let's bring a little bit of another dimension, that herby freshness from the dill. 2 sprigs of dill, that's roughly about more or less around a teaspoon of dill. If you don't have fresh dill, you can use roughly about half of a teaspoon of the dry dill. For a little bit of a zing, add 2 teaspoons of white wine vinegar. If you don't have white wine vinegar, you can substitute with apple cider vinegar or white vinegar. And last but not least, a little bit of salt, just a dash to taste. So there you go, that does it. An easy horseradish sauce that you can make in minutes. Take a spoon or a spatula, give it a mix, and then throw it into the refrigerator. Let it sit for at least an hour to marry those flavors. If you have time, make it a day or 2 ahead of time, and it's even better. So check it out, that's how you make a creamy horseradish sauce with mustard and dill for a standing rib roast. A perfect sauce for a Christmas dinner or any sort of special holiday event or regular everyday occasion. So that took care of a creamy horseradish sauce. Now let's go in for a little bit of a kick, a spicy horseradish sauce. Just like the previous recipe, this is a really easy horseradish recipe. Nothing to cook, just grab a mixing bowl. We'll start off with the sour cream, add 3/4 of a cup or about 188 milliliters. This recipe is really quick and easy, so you can throw it together while that roast is in the oven, or like the other recipe, you can throw it together a few days ahead of time, throw it in the fridge, let it marry those flavors so it has the full flavor of all the spices and that horseradish. And here we go again. I don't know what it is about it, but this mayo, it just really works out super well in this recipe. We're going to add 2 tablespoons or 30 milliliters to the bowl. So here we go with the star of the show, the freshly ground horseradish. This is a different horseradish than what we used in the previous recipe. It's a whole lot spicier than that prepared horseradish, so it's going to give this sauce an extra little bit of a kick. And if you're looking for this horseradish in the grocery store, it's usually in the seafood section because you make shrimp cocktail typically with it. So we're going to load up the sauce with it, 4 tablespoons, and it goes into the bowl. Now it's time to add everybody's favorite, W sauce, a little bit of a dash. And for a little bit of a zing, white wine vinegar, 1/2 teaspoon. And here we go again with a little bit of freshness. Grab a green onion, throw it on a board, whip out that trusty blade, chop it up. We're going to use the green part of the green onion for this recipe, save the white for something else. So that pretty much does it, takes care of the hard part. Now grab a spoon and give it a mix. And after you give it a little bit of a spin, you can give it a taste. You might want to adjust the seasoning, add more green onion if you like. Add more horseradish, taster's choice, but give it a taste, add some salt, add some pepper, and then put it in the fridge, let it sit for an hour, overnight even better, and then you're ready to dig in. So that's how you make a spicy horseradish sauce for a standing rib roast. So that takes care of the 2 horseradish recipes. That roast, it should be done, so let's circle back around and take care of that classic au jus. Now let's bring that bad boy roast back out. It's been cooking in the oven ever so slightly to perfection. It has a nice crust, and check out those drippings. It has a lot of drippings on the bottom of the pan. That's flavor. We're going to turn that into our au jus. And it's really hit or miss. Sometimes you have a lot of drippings, and other times you really just don't have much at all. While the rib roast rests, it's time to deglaze the pan. Pour 1/2 cup or 125 milliliters of red wine into the roasting tray. And be careful, that cooking tray, it's hot, so don't burn yourself. But I've got the burners also over low heat. This will help with the removal of those bits and pieces that fond, that's flavor, and it'll help incorporate it into the sauce. It'll also help with the reduction of that wine to remove the alcohol taste. Once the wine's been reduced, it's time to add our stock. I'm adding 1.5 cups or 375 milliliters of brown veal stock. You can substitute with a beef broth or stock or a thin brown sauce. I'll put 2 links in the description, a thin brown sauce link recipe and an Espanol sauce recipe. Drop in 1 tablespoon or 15 milliliters of W sauce. Turn that burner up to medium heat, grab a flat bottom spatula, scrape the bottoms and sides of the pan, make sure everything's incorporated, and reduce this for about 2 to 5 minutes. Time to clean up the sauce. It's been reduced. Grab all of the big chunks and pieces, take them out. It'll make it a whole lot easier whenever you try to filter this out through the fine sieve. And I'm going to strain this out into a fat or grease separator. I'm going to remove the fat, but some people like that fat. If you just like the fat, why not? Taster's choice. Just strain it out into a bowl. Or you can just strain it directly into a saucepan and keep it warm until it's ready to serve. And after it's all said and done, depending on how much you reduce the sauce, you have roughly about 1.5 cups of au jus. So there you go, that concludes our quick tutorial on how to make an au jus. I hope that you enjoyed these 3 recipes on how to make sauces for a standing rib roast. Well, thanks for watching the Sauce and Gravy channel. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you want to learn new sauce and gravy making tips and techniques. If you're looking for additional standing rib roast sauces, check out this Dijon sauce for a rib roast, and I'll see you next time.